Could this mean I'm more likely to have gestational diabetes? I'm 16 weeks and going for a test at 26 weeks, but seems so long to wait. Anything I can do in the meantime? Obviously, one of the best things we're going to be able to do is keep your diet healthy and low in sugar. It does seem quite a long time to wait another 10 weeks. If you do have gestational diabetes, but that's may well be the routine. I think just modify your diet, make sure that you are keeping it low in sugar, and see how you go. If you start experiencing extreme thirst or feeling unwell or any shakiness or anything like that, go back to your midwife and just remind, I had tested positive for glucose, and I'm starting to get really thirsty, because extreme thirst is one of the signs that you may be developing the diabetes, so look out for that. I am currently 26 weeks plus 3 days with my first baby, and I'm looking for advice or reassurance regarding weight gain. All the apps and official advice say I should gain 2 to 2.5 stone in total by the end of the pregnancy, but I've already gained 2 stone. I was 10 stone 7 pre-pregnancy, and I've always been a gym goer and watched my weight. I've remained active throughout by walking, doing prenatal workouts from YouTube, and I'm generally a busybody. I don't think you're a busybody. That's not what you mean. My appetite definitely increased this trimester, but I try and make sure my meals are healthy and don't go overboard on snacks. I'm honestly feeling so down about my weight gain, and I constantly, right, okay, we've got to stop that. Stop with the anxiety. Listening to you are doing absolutely everything you can. And what you've got to remember is that a lot of that weight gain is probably due to the volume of fluid you are carrying. So your blood volume increases by nearly 30% during pregnancy. So that's going to be taking on a vast amount of that. Now, if you were saying to me, well, I'm eating Mars bars, I like the odd pie, you know, and all that sort of stuff, and I sit down and I don't move, I'd be like, right, come on, you need to get up, stop eating that, start eating that, and let's get you moving. But you're doing everything you possibly can. You started off at a lovely weight, one that I remember in the distant past, very distant past. But you've started off at a lovely, healthy weight. And so you've started off on a really good playing field. You're watching your weight. And what I would say is that the likelihood is that because you were healthy to start with, because you exercise, and because you've not been eating unhealthy foods throughout pregnancy, that you will lose and go back much quicker. So please, please don't worry. You sound like you're doing everything you possibly can, and it will work itself out. Okay? So there. I'm currently 22 weeks and suffering quite a lot of hip pain, which I haven't done before. Is this likely to be pregnancy related? It is probably very pregnancy related. And I've also been sent a question, which will answer this, from somebody who, bless her, is only 11 weeks at the minute, and she's suffering with really bad pelvic girdle pain already. Now, what I would say to the lady who's 11 weeks is that that is possibly a hormonal thing that's just unbalancing things a little bit, but it is probably going to mean that you are going to have this pelvic girdle pain throughout. It may settle down once the hormone levels settle down at 12, 13 weeks, but what I would advise definitely is some form of either Pilates or yoga to teach you about stability. And again, for Laura, what's happened, Laura, is the fact that because you are compensating in various different ways, it may be that because of your bump, you're just, without even realising it, sort of tilting, doing hip tilts, various different things that can really impact your posture. And when we change our posture without even realising it, we then can end up with aches and pains. So again, same advice for you would be definitely looking at doing some Pilates or yoga. Our lovely Michelle for Let's Talk Birth and Baby will be back either next week or the week after with doing the Pilates. The other thing is, if it's really severe, when you're going up the stairs, go up one step at a time. So really avoiding that opening of the legs. So cycling is not great at this point. When you're getting out of the car, rather than doing one leg, swing both legs out. So just trying to keep that pelvis stable. It's not very nice, but hopefully it will pass once this baby is born. I'm just found out I'm pregnant at around 7 weeks, but I'm getting period-like cramp. I read that this is normal somewhere and it is a uterus expansion. Should I be worried? No, at the end of the day, at this stage, it's really difficult. There's lots of aches and pains and lots of things going on in there. So what I would say is, unless you get any bleeding, you're going to have to assume that everything is as it should be. And it's only once you go to your scan at sort of 12 weeks that you're going to get that real reassurance. But yes, you can have aches and pains, and as babies sort of getting comfortable in there, you can also experience a little bit of tiny spotting. But any bleeding that you may have, you should get checked out. I messaged the last time you were on. My consultant has agreed to give me an induction after collapsing on Friday and a few other near collapses thanks to constant. Oh, bless you. Dizzying and migraine, narrowing, landing on my bump last week. Oh, bless you. I think I did say to you to get in touch with your consultant, didn't I? Well, I'm glad that you've got that sorted out, Michelle, because that can't be very nice. Oh, we've got a too much information subject, but I have thrombosed hemorrhoids and I'm pregnant. I've had a sweep, and if nothing happens, I'm being induced in 1 week. But I'm currently dealing with the most painful pulse I've ever experienced in my life. I've tried Anusol, ice packs, witch hazel, soaking in a bath. I'm not constipated and I literally do not know what to do. It's to the point where I'm in literal tears in pain, trying to take care of my almost 2-year-old and prepare myself for labour any time now. Does anyone have any advice at all? I'm hoping my doctor can help, as I'm going to see him later, but I'm not convinced he'll be much help after speaking to him on the phone. Yesterday he did say he was limited to what he could do with me still being pregnant. I think without knowing how pregnant you are, it's difficult. I think you're probably right. I'm not that hopeful that your doctor is going to give you too much help here. But what I would say is, depending on how many weeks you are, listening to you, this is not a great way to be living. I would go back to your consultant and ask if there is any way of bringing that induction forward. I don't know how many weeks you are, so I don't know how appropriate that is, and I don't know why you're being induced. So there's lots of others ifs, buts and maybes, but it sounds like you're having a really terrible time. I'm trying to think of this, because what we would normally prescribe is the Anusol. Bless you. Yeah, see what your doctor says. Really push home how painful these are, but I just don't think that there is anything much that they can do at this point. And it's obviously this pressure that's in that area. So bless you. Bless you. I wish I could be more helpful. I'm 34 weeks pregnant. Is it essential to do perineal exercise for normal delivery? If yes, when should I start? It's not essential, but it is advised, and you should start from 34 weeks. So about 3 or 4 times a week, for about 5 minutes is advised, and it's thought to reduce the risk of perineal trauma. So it's more perineal massage rather than exercise, if you will, and it's thought to reduce the significance of tearing. I'm suffering with really low moods and I'm very irritable at the moment. I'm snapping and shouting at my husband out of nowhere quite regularly since our baby was born a few months ago. I have feelings of regret with our baby because I feel like that is why I'm like this at the moment. I'm due to speak to the GP soon because I think it's postpartum depression. I have friends and family that I haven't spoken to about it, and I do tend to just fake it with them. Should I speak to them? Absolutely. I've spoken to one person about it and was kind of hoping it would open up a discussion, but it didn't. Also, tips to help. I'm trying to do things that I enjoy and plan for the week. Well, that sounds like a good start. What I would also think about before you go to your GP is, what was your birth like? So you've said earlier on in here, I have feelings of regret with our baby because I feel like that is why I'm like this at the moment. So I'm just sort of trying to pin together whether you're feeling like you're not connecting with the baby or bonding with the baby or anything like that. What the other thing I would advise is that you and your partner book onto the next wellbeing workshop that I run, and that's run with myself and Mark Williams. Now, Mark is the founder of International Fathers Mental Health Day, and together what we do is we really talk about how we can recognise any issues like this and how you can help each other and partners and start opening up these discussions, because they're not easy discussions to have. But what's really worth thinking about is, because I think we are quite quick to diagnose postpartum depression, without looking at what the experience was like when you actually were in labour and birth, and whether you actually have birth trauma as opposed to it being a depression as such. Because sometimes if we are traumatized by our experience, I mean, it could be that you come back and say it was the most wonderful birth ever, but it could be that you come back and you actually are very uneasy about what happened in those hours, and that we need to try and signpost you to get more support related to that as opposed to related to the depression. So there are a few different things it could be. I think it is quite normal to a degree to have it, but that doesn't mean to say that we should live with it. So I think talking to as many people that you trust as possible, especially your partner, if they can help you, you know, really talking it through with them, how they feel. I really relate to you because I suffered terribly after I had my son, but I think it's something that it's a continued thing that you need to think about and talk about. So, but yeah, just try and sign up to one of those workshops because they are really, really very good, and they will give you some really good thinking points, starting points. Vicky is 32 weeks pregnant and started perineal massage on Monday, but I have no idea what I'm doing. How do I do this, please? Okay, so if you think about the, back to front on here. This area here being your perineum, it's basically a deep tissue massage. So this is the vagina, and your bottom hole is down here, yeah? And this area here, the muscle there, is your perineum. And what you want to do is you must use an oil, so an olive oil, coconut oil, almond oil, or you can buy a specialist perineal massage oil, and you're going to do a deep tissue massage in this area. And you do it for about 5 minutes, about 3 or 4 times a week. I'm currently 29 weeks and had a stitch put in at 17 weeks due to previous preterm labour. I'm due to have this removed at 36 weeks. My question is, what are the chances that I'll go into labour straight after or near? It's really difficult to say. Some women you take it out and that's it, baby arrives. Other women you take it out and it stays as it should do. So it's just impossible to say. But 29 weeks, that's amazing. Yeah, so it's really difficult to say. I'm 29 weeks with my second baby and considering a home birth. COVID aside, I feel that would be more relaxed in my own home without the stress of knowing, without the stress of knowing when to go to the hospital and possibly being sent home and having to go back later on. I laboured really well with my first and got to 10 centimetres on just gas and air with no issues, but unfortunately needed forceps at the end due to induction and things slowing down. I am, for that reason, a bit nervous that I may need intervention again. What do I think? I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that second time round you need forceps. It does happen, but it's far less likely. And I think if you feel confident that you labour quite quickly and you coped really well, then as long as you're comfortable with your home birth team, then I'll give it a go. My 8-week-old boy head smells bad. He has cradle cap. We massage baby on onto his head, brush it and wash it every day, evening and delicate baby shampoo, but in the morning his head is oily and smelly. Okay, first thing I would say is don't try and remove that cradle cap. It can remove the root hair permanently, and you don't want to do that. So unfortunately, as much as it can be unsightly and it can be a bit smelly, really try and avoid the temptation to pick it out. At 8 weeks it may still remain for a wee while yet, but just just keeping it nice and clean, that's all you can do really. There's not much else that you can do. I feel like I've missed some questions. No, answered all that. Michelle, do let us know how you get on, having messaged your after your induction. Just checking that I've answered all of these amazing questions. And I did have another question, just hold on 1 second. Let me make sure I'm answering all of the questions I've got. Here we go. How do I know the difference between labour contractions and Braxton Hicks contractions? So Braxton Hicks contractions are where your tummy goes really, really strong, really tight, and then it will relax. And although people say, oh, they're not painful, I think they can border on to uncomfortable, but there won't be any regularity to them particularly. And then you'll just have long periods where they go away. When you have your real contractions, once they are fully established, you will find that they just keep going and they get stronger and stronger. So that's the difference. Okay. Lots of questions. I think I've answered all of those questions. It's been good as always. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Loads and loads of stuff going on next week for World Breastfeeding Week. So do keep tuning. I'm going to sneeze again. I'm doing some stuff over with Tommy Tippy, some informational videos over there, so do keep an eye on that. I'm also doing a live Q&A with Didify on breastfeeding and all that sort of stuff. So any questions that you've got around breastfeeding, do hop on and let me have a look. Just one more question. I have a 32-week scan next week. I know part of this is to check the growth. Is there anything else that checks at this scan? Amy, they may be doing it. I don't know, most hospitals don't do a 32-week scan, so it could be that they're doing a placental site check just to see where the placenta's lying. But I know that there are some hospitals that have included this, so it's probably just a routine check. Another opportunity to have a look at your little baba. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, but yeah, they will check the site of the placenta and they'll be able to tell you which position the baby's in as well. So yeah, we've just put up there, if anybody is after antenatal classes, my first class is free. And it's a good 2-hour session on normal labour and birth. So head over to Let's Talk Birth and Baby to sign up for that. And you can follow me at The Honest Midwife. I'm going to go and clean my house. And if anybody wants to do first aid class tonight, I am teaching this evening on infant and child first aid. So you can sign up for that as well. You've been fab as always, and I shall be back on Tuesday, smiling. My daughter said to me the other day, "Can we watch that film Trolls?" I was like, "No, it's bloody cool." So I will be back next week, smiling as always, and I shall see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.